Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri, and our next guests are some of the folks behind the upcoming North Fork TV Festival taking place this weekend, October 4th and 5th, where you will be able to see the pilot of two of the guests joining the two people from the festival. Let's take a look at a clip of the festival.
Don't miss the North Fork TV Festival. The entertainment world returns to Long Island October 4th and 5th for the most prestigious festival dedicated to independent scripted television. Join special guests Chris Noth, Kelsey Grammer, and Constance Wu. Set in the picturesque town of Greenport, the North Fork TV Festival celebrates the best new content in Long Island's scenic wine country. Watch independent pilots selected by industry leaders, produced and directed by today's top talent. And interact with panels to gain insight on where things are headed. The North Fork TV Festival in Greenport, New York.
Everybody, please welcome creator of the North Fork TV Festival, Jonathan Shafter, artistic director, Elias Plagianos, and writer of Distemper, Max Pitagno, and star Abigail Hawk. Please give them a round of applause. Let's hear it.
Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. Sit down, everybody.
Thanks so much for being here, guys. Congrats on the 4th year of the festival taking place this weekend. We should also mention that you are the director of the show that is premiering this weekend. Let's go back, though, and talk about how the North Fork TV Festival started. Why North Fork? How did it happen? Jonathan?
Sure. I mean, North Fork, just because it's a really beautiful location. The other parts of Long Island are a little more represented and known in the tourism circles. And there was a lot of interest in the community of developing out more of a name and a tourist attraction in the area. But as for why the festival, what we saw was a tremendous amount of incredible content coming out from independent creators. And this is a new thing where technology has reached the point where people can now create TV content at fully professional production values at a fraction of the cost that it used to cost. So what began to emerge is akin to what you already see in independent movies, where creators can take a chance on a new kind of story and tell the story they want and create it without studio backing and try to attract the attention to create it into a full series. And we wanted to create a home and a forum for these creators to be able to tell their stories and hopefully get them picked up and into a full series.
And now you screen pilots that haven't been made into a series yet, right? And do you read pilots as well? Do you go over scripts? How does it work, or is it just screening of pilots?
Well, we are going to be showing 6 pilots at the festival. And one of the pilots for the first time, as you know, Elias and the team over here will talk about, is we had a part in creating through a script writing contest that was sponsored by the Sloan Foundation to create a new pilot based on a science and technology theme. But for the most part, we receive submissions, and then we have a panel of judges who go through them and try and select what are the highest quality, and also our voices that are traditionally unrepresented in the studio system.
Elias, do you want to talk about that a little bit? You are the director of this pilot, Distemper, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yep.
And you also work with the festival. So how did you get involved, and what was it about this script that you were so invested in that you wanted to direct it?
Yeah, so it was, you know, Jonathan gave me a ring and said, so we have $20,000 to make a pilot, and you have to sign on no matter what the script is. And I said, that's an incredible challenge, and I accept it. Now, normally, we would not tell a story. So Max's story was so amazing. It was set in 1918 and in New York City and in the Congo. But his story was just so special. It was about this character that Abby plays, Louise Pierce, who is a scientist who cures sleeping sickness. And I just thought it was such an important story that we all went out of our way to choose his script, even though we only had $20,000. And I think we really sold the fact that it was 1918 in New York City and in the Congo. So, but Max.
So you're saying that, like, even though you only had this amount of money, you loved the script so much, Max, the script was so great, that you had to figure out a way to do it.
Had to. And so I spent most of my life in indie film, and we had to do everything we could. And I really felt like my 20 years making movies was really all for this one moment where I could, take all the knowledge and all the tricks and all these things and really tell the story that Max had laid out. And I mean, it's just a wonderful, special, honest story based on a real life character. And it's just so prevalent now, right?
Yeah, and I have to say, just as a shout out to Elias, I mean, it was guerrilla, media production. I would joke with people, what is independent television? I would say, well, you're not going to do period pieces because the budget explodes, and you're not going to do, exotic settings. And here we aim to do a period piece in an exotic setting, and producing the product, which I'm just so incredibly proud of. On the time scale we produced it on, and on the budget we produced it on, is gonzo guerrilla, TV making, and I think a testament to this team here that they were able to pull it off.
Max, talk to me about the script itself and where you got the idea.
Absolutely. So my background actually is not in screenwriting, believe it or not. I am an undergrad. I was a biology major in undergraduate. I spent 2 years in a microbiology lab before this worked for the FDA, and this story is something that's kind of stuck with me for a while. I remember I was taking a pharmacology class and heard about Louise Pierce the first time, and I was so shocked at how nonchalantly Louise talked about it. That, okay, yeah, in about 1918 to 1920, this woman from the Upper East Side just happened to go by herself into Belgian Congo and essentially cured a disease that infected millions and millions and millions of people in Southern Africa. And the fact that was like a 5-minute aside in a class seemed so insane to me, so I looked into it more and more and more. I learned more of the story. I learned more about Louise as a person, and I don't know. I guess you just call it maybe inspiration.
Obsession?
Yeah, maybe.
Got obsessed a little bit?
A little bit. I feel like this is a story that was just needed to be brought forward, And I mean, Elias has been amazing, and I am shocked at what he's been able to do with such a small budget. And I think we really, I think we've done a more than adequate job of presenting this, and I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
Abby, talk to me about Louise.
Oh, there's so much to say about Louise. She's amazing. It was a true honor to get a Facebook message from Mr. Elias over there. We've actually been trying to work together for a while now, and he reached out to me and said, listen, I've got this role, and I think you'd be great for it. And I read the script, and I was like, okay, I don't care what I have to do, I'm doing it. And I think that's kind of the way all of us have felt, which is a testament to you. This kid's got such an amazing future ahead of him. He's very, very talented. I just was so taken by what a badass she is. Like, she just didn't give a crap, She was like, listen, I'm no nonsense. I exist in what's traditionally a man's world within these very strict social constructs, and I'm going to go to Africa by myself, and I'm going to cure this disease come hell or high water. I mean, to travel across the Atlantic Ocean by yourself in the 1920s on a boat, just insane. Like, they didn't have airplanes at this time. She went by boat, so she could have died on the way over there. And then to come back, and her career was so long. She won all kinds of awards. She spent a great deal of time in China. She did cancer research as well. There's that Pierce Brown tumor that she created with Dr.
Absolutely right.
I forget what Dr. Brown's first name was, but and she also did a ton of work on syphilis. So she really she was the first female scientist to work at the Rockefeller Institute in New York. And I was very drawn to tell her story and have that opportunity.
So how do you create this story on a budget of $20,000? How did you do it?
Well, that's a good question. So I think favors, a lot of friends, even though, Abby's salary took up the entire $20,000 and she showed up for 8 minutes, but what knows? So I think it's really key to have excellent locations and then have a lot of friends who trust you and who are willing to go the extra mile and, having a real knowledge. What I've found is that most people who say they're filmmakers or who they make film, they don't really understand all the aspects of it. And really all it is like you have to fill that 16:9 frame and make that world real. And so, again, I just, made sure to make that real and have amazing actors. Because if you don't have amazing actors, it does not matter. Because, they're the heart and soul of your film and your show. And we were so blessed to have Abby and Chike and Tara Westwood and Lucas Hassel. And, all these amazing actors who really researched the roles. And also we had friends who went out of their way to find costumes on eBay and through friends. So it was a group effort. I have an amazing team, and if you don't have a team that supports you, you could never make something like this.
And now the festival this weekend is also honoring Asif Manvi as well, right? Are there some other people who are as well being honored? Jonathan, can you talk about that?
Sure. We'll have Kelsey Grammer will be there.
Fraser, you mean?
Fraser. Constance Wu will be there in attendance. Chris Noth is a great friend of the festival and will be there as well. So they'll all be there to support us and to be honored. And of course, all of the creators of our 6 pilots will be there, which is great because people can see the productions, but then really meet the creators and hear from them how they did it and what the process was all about. And we hope each year to have more industry attendance because, it is our goal ultimately to be what festivals like Sundance have become in the independent film world, a place where the buyers from the many distribution platforms, streaming services, cable channels, et cetera, are there to find out what the next emerging talent and shows that they need to have are.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question on Twitter. Let's pull it up. It's, what's your favorite TV show on right now? When curating your festival, what kinds of pilots do you look for?
So my favorite show on TV by far is Succession on HBO. I'm not sure if anyone's seen that, but it's amazing. And as far as what pilots we look for, we want to make sure they have an interesting hook because there's a difference between a film and a series. And having an episodic narrative means you need a hook and you want to live with these people for years and years. As Abby knows, Blue Bloods has been on for 10 years now. Mm-hmm. So, they've been able to find that. So it's really longevity. Yeah.
10 years, that's so long.
It's really long. It's my entire adult life. I became literally. This is our 10th season, and I became a mom on the show, and really cut my teeth with, and in real life, yes. But it's a remarkable feat. We just on Friday night celebrated our 200th episode, which is insane and
extremely uncommon for an hour-long drama.
Yes. And we're very, very proud of it. We're obviously doing something right. That's clearly my favorite show on TV because it's my job and I love being employed.
My favorite show is Blue Bloods.
Hands down.
Don't worry, I'll drag you later for that.
A couple questions from the audience. Who's a question? Right here.
Hi, guys. So I was wondering, what do you want audiences to take away from this film that you've created?
Show,
sorry.
I would love for people to get right on their computer and Google Louise Pierce and Sarah Josephine Baker because I think I did not know who either of them were, and both of them are incredible women. The 1918 was right in the time of the suffrage movement, and there was just a lot going on for women's rights. So that would be my takeaway. But also, I had absolutely no idea the atrocities that were done in the name of the rubber industry in the Belgian Congo that were perpetrated by King Leopold. And I'm embarrassed to say that, but I was not taught about that in school. And I believe more people were slaughtered and maimed in that than even in the Holocaust. So the fact that we're bringing that to light is very, very important.
Yeah, and that's even just the people that we know about. And that's kind of right into what I was going to say. If I could have people take one thing away from this, it would be to look at how kind of interconnected we all are. Who here has heard of sleeping sickness before this? Probably, yeah, just 1 or 2 people. And this is a disease that affected millions and millions of people, killed millions in Zaire, the Congo, as now known, in Uganda. And, there's definitely real parallels, though, still today. Look at Ebola. That's still ravaging the Congo. It's still ravaging Rwanda. It's still most of Central and Southern Africa, and they were kind of, turned off from that. And I guess also it helps understand that people of the Congo live better right now. Not the Congo in general, but some of the rural areas. I was reading this a few weeks ago. There were UN aid workers attacked who are, helping them battle Ebola. And the natural reaction is to say, like, what's the matter with them? Why would they attack somebody who's trying to help them? But then if you look at this longitudinally, you see the history, and you see, okay, well, last time you had a bunch of, white people in uniforms come to help you guys out, people got limbs removed. And you got
the history of colonialism.
Terrible history of colonialism, yeah. That's kind of unknown, as Abby was saying. And so for, I'd like to shine a little light on that as well, hopefully.
Right, it's usually, and colonialism is also intrinsically linked to the history of capitalism and the growing of capital across the globe. We only focus on genocide when we talk about the Holocaust, because the Holocaust is easily explained without having to talk about capitalism. We can revert to racism without actually talking about capital and gains, whereas when you talk about the British Empire and you talk about Africa and you talk about India, then you're actually talking about industrialists and businesses that are going over there.
Absolutely. You nailed it. You look at these formations of these banana republics, like what essentially happened in, Leopoldville in the Belgian Congo. And that, it's ironically, it was called the Democratic Republic of the Congo Belgian Free State for quite a while, it was, but if you were asking people who were, forced to harvest rubber, they'd say this is anything but free,
Yeah.
And as Americans, too, our hands are absolutely not clean of that as well.
Yeah.
Look at any of South America will tell you, man, Panamanian rebels, we can go down the line. And unfortunately as well, it's something that's happening today. We've kind of transitioned from rubber, yeah, but now there's silicon mining and gold mining still in Southern Africa, which is very much the same thing. Look at, I don't know, De Beers or any other mineral or diamond conglomerate, and nothing's really changed all that. Well, not nothing's changed, but it hasn't changed as much as we'd like to think it has.
Look at your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
But then on the inspirational side, here is a woman, a lesbian, 100 years ago, who is, uses science to, save hundreds of thousands of people. It's an incredibly inspirational story. We want people to take that away. And at the same time, we don't want to be a documentary. We want it to be a compelling story that grabs you independent of all these messages and makes you want to watch it. And that's what, I think we've really achieved in this pilot, and we're going to make it as a series. Well, we will get it made, and that's what we're going to do.
One more question.
Hi. So you have the background in film, independent film yourself, and you were talking about the distinction between film and television, how you want to maybe see these people and care about them for years. Yeah. But have you had any submissions where you believed in the story but didn't think this was the proper format and that maybe film was better? And did you kind of talk to the creators of that and let them know that that would be a better format? And how do you make that cut?
Yeah, sure. So that's a great question. The whole world of independent film is changing now. It's just so difficult to get your film on the big screen because, it's just really tremendous films and there's no more kind of low budget films. So I think everyone wants to try and turn their film into a show. And that's great. People can make miniseries and things along those lines. But I have spoken to creators, and I always say you need a hook, right? At the end of your story, at the end of your show, you need to solve one storyline, but then introduce one more because, people will not want to keep watching. But the convergence. So, I moved from film to TV because it just seemed like all of the films I was making would just wind up on video. So I felt the smartest move would be to make content that was appropriate for home. Which is why I moved into the series world. And it's not just me, it's huge filmmakers like Steven Soderbergh, who has, transitioned as well. So I just think, though, the most amazing thing about what's happening now is that you don't have to have a time limit for your story. If it's 12 minutes, it could be 12 minutes. If it's 18 hours, it could be a series. So just, make sure to tell your story and then find the most appropriate venue for it.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. The North Fork TV Festival starts on Friday with the premiere of Distemper, correct?
Correct.
Congratulations on winning the Sloan Foundation.
Thank you so
getting
much.
the pilot made. That's absolutely incredible. And congrats on the part. And thank you so much
you.
for being here. You guys give them a round of applause. Let's hear it. And congrats on
Thanks, everybody.
directing as well.